Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is another whip and chat, a stitch with me. I didn't think I was going to have a video the rest of this week, but my job today ended much earlier than I anticipated, and I have everything done, and I thought I would come in and talk to you guys one more time before I go on my trip tomorrow. So Saturday is my 50th birthday. And Bill and I planned this trip back in January, February this year. We're going to Rocky Gap Resort and Casino. We do like to gamble, so we will be doing a little bit of that, but they have an amazing park there. Our room overlooks the lake. It's going to be very, very nice. And the first night that we're there, which is tomorrow, we are going to see a comedy show. They do have events there, and the comedy show, it was $25 a person. We love comedy shows. Whenever we go on a cruise, we do a comedy show every night. So very excited to get away to somewhere that we haven't been. I told him, I said, you know, vacations going forth, I want to go places I haven't been. Not the retreats, mind you, because I love the Ocean City retreats. I love the retreat in New Jersey in July, which is coming up. But I mean anything else that him and I do, because we have just done this same old thing, right? So I wanted somewhere, though, that we could drive. It's about a 2.5-hour ride. Somewhere where we didn't have to fly. And yeah, that's where we decided to go. Now, the weather is not supposed to be that great, but I'm okay with that. It is what it is. And you know, I have found that letting go of expectations for things results in a much happier experience. Now, would it be nice if the weather was nice? Because then we could walk through the park, do this, do that. Yes, of course, but we will figure it out. There are little shops like in the downtown area. So I think we are going to do that. You know, we'll have lunch. There's some restaurants at the resort. And yeah. So we can't check in tomorrow until 3 o'clock. So we probably aren't going to leave here till about 11 or something like that. So Bill is working overtime today, so he will not be home until probably 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight. I have not done any stitching since I did my last video for you guys. Yesterday was a normal work day. Day went fine. I was done work by, I want to say 4:30. But then I just read. I'm still reading The Color Purple. And I'm actually going to bring that book, because I will not be done that by tomorrow. But I'm going to bring another book with me to read, because I know there will be a little bit of downtime, especially at night before we go to bed. I don't know which one I'm going to read next, though. Maybe this 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Because I had started reading that, and then I put it down, and now that I own it. And I told Bill of my dream of having a library. And, you know, if you go on Pinterest, there are tons of ideas of having your own personal library. And man, there are some beautiful, beautiful ones. And it doesn't have to be some big, elaborate thing. It can be just some little alcove, right? So, I don't know. We will see. But what's nice is I can just fill in this section here while I talk with you guys. I won't have to count or do any of that. And I saw a post yesterday. So I went through this morning and cut down the number of Facebook groups I belong to. I still belong, believe it or not, to 23 groups, which is quite a bit. I belong to my mom's hairstyle and makeup group for people over 50, for women over 50. I belong to a bunch of Mirabilia, a bunch of cross-stitch groups, which of course, Diamond Art Club groups, a group for work, and then I joined a bunch of reading ones where people give recommendations for books and things like that. And I hadn't belonged to any of those, which I couldn't believe that, but I didn't. So I joined a couple of those. I got out of most of, I belonged to a couple of like carnivore diet books, carnivore diet groups. I got out of all of those. I got out of a bunch of coloring ones because I don't really color too much anymore. I still belong to, I think, one Johanna Basford one. But what I have realized too I forgot what I was going to say that quick. In belonging to that kind of stuff is too many groups for me is mental clutter, right? And I've gone through that before where I joined a bunch and then got rid of them. And because when I go on Facebook, the only thing I really look at are the groups. I don't go in there and look at my feed or anything like that. So with buying books again and all of that, I decided I wanted to belong to a couple of Facebook groups about books to get good book recommendations because I keep a list, a wish list on Books A Million website. You can do that, which is awesome. And I have asked everyone for my birthday to get me a gift card to Books A Million. That way I can use that to buy books because for the foreseeable future, I am not going to be reading books through Kindle. I am going to be buying the books. So that also prompted me because I'd rather spend money on books than things like clothes or other expenses, right? So I actually went through today. Now this may change and I may revert back in the future. But I went through and I downgraded my Hulu subscription and my Netflix subscription to include ads because for Netflix it shaves off, I want to say for me it's $5, and then Hulu it shaved off $10. I think it went to $7.99. I honestly can't remember. But it's easy enough to revert back if I decide that I don't want to see the ads. And I also went ahead and I canceled my YouTube Red subscription, which was like $13 or $14 a month. I mean, those little bit of expenses, it adds up, right? It adds up. I mean, all of those things is one book a month, easily. I don't have a Kindle Unlimited subscription anymore. I let that lapse as well. I do have some subscriptions for work, which I have to keep those for software and things like that. But anywhere that I can cut, I will, and I did. And I have never been a huge clothes person. I do like makeup, but I have pretty basic makeup. And I do spend money on my hair, but that's only once every 2 or 3 months. Yeah, I mean, Bill's working really hard. He's working at 3 different jobs. And when he retires, though, in August, it's only going to be for a couple months because once he retires in August, he is not going to be working at all of those places. At least I don't think so. He won't need to. So, but yeah, he has been working really hard. And yeah. So I forgot to show you guys a book that I bought that I'm not going to be using until January 1st of 2025 because I didn't realize that it was set up like this. But I got this book from Lay It Flat Publishing. Everything they have is spiral bound. This is called One Question a Day, a 5-year journal, a personal time capsule of questions and answers. So when you open it, I mean, obviously I'll put my name there. But what's awesome is it starts January 1. So you put in the year and you answer the question. And it's 5 years. So after 5 years, you can go back or when you go back the next year, you can look and see what you answered in 2020. So this would be 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29. So it's so cool though, because there's different questions on every day. And instead of feeling the obligation or the pressure to journal every single day, answer one question that comprises 5 lines. So I'm going to be attempting to go ahead and do that. But I do have some questions here that I thought I would answer, and you guys are welcome to answer in the comment section. You know, I come on these videos and sometimes I do not know what to talk about because not a lot has happened, not a lot is going on, and there isn't always just a ton of things to talk about. So my mom loved the Mother's Day ring that I got her. I forgot to mention that the other day when I did my video. And yeah, so I have a list of questions here. And we're just going to start. And you guys are welcome to put your answers as well in the comment section if you would like, for me and everyone else that goes in there to read. First question is, do you like to exercise in the morning or evening? I'm going to be honest. I do not care for exercise, like forcing it. I like to do natural activity, as in chores, parking farther away at a store and walking, you know, doing yard work, housework, or even just walking in the neighborhood with Bill. I am someone who the exercise thing has never stuck. There have been periods of my life where I have exercised. When I worked at a company that's about 40 minutes from me, there was a gym attached to our building, and for a whole year I belonged to the gym and did really well. I didn't really need to lose weight. I weighed 139 then, and I got down to 119 and worked out every day, every single day. And yeah, that didn't last, because once our company closed down, I was not driving 40 minutes to the gym. So, but yeah, it's never stuck. Whenever I have had spare time, I want to read, or I want to stitch, or I want to diamond paint. I don't want to exercise. So to answer that question, I don't like to exercise at all. Okay, the next question. If you could choose, would you rather fly or be invisible? That's a really good question, because I think most people would be like, oh, I want to be invisible. But you know what? I don't want to know what people are thinking about me or saying about me, right? Because if you're invisible, you could go places and see things that ordinarily you wouldn't see, that I think you probably wouldn't want to see. There are things that you wouldn't want to know. Did you ever see that movie? I want to say it's called What Women Want, with Helen Hunt and Mel Gibson. I'm pretty sure it's Mel Gibson, where Mel Gibson gets the power to be able to hear women's thoughts and hears things that he doesn't or shouldn't know. And it kind of backfires. So I'm going to choose to fly, because wouldn't it be cool to just say, okay, instead of getting in the car, okay, I'm going to go to my mom's, like, beam me up. So I fly away and I fly over there, right? Yeah, that's what I would choose. Okay. What's a talent you have that most people don't know about? I honestly don't know. I can roll my tongue. I don't know if that's necessarily a talent. You either can or you can't. I honestly can't think of anything. I did play the clarinet. I was pretty good at that. I actually started to teach myself piano many, many years ago, and I gave it up. A talent. I can moonwalk. I bet none of you knew that. Bill and I were talking about that the other day. I forget. We saw someone dancing or doing something, and I said, I can moonwalk because when Michael Jackson was popular when I was young, my mom and I practiced in our kitchen until we got it, until we could do it. And I feel like that is something like riding a bike. Like you don't really forget how to do it. Like it has to be on a slick floor and I need to do it in my socks so my feet like slide. But yeah, I can do that. Okay, how well do you think you would survive on a deserted island? I think initially it would be difficult, but I think I would adapt pretty well. I am someone who I can adapt to difficult circumstances, and I like to think I'm pretty intelligent and resilient, so I think I would do okay. What type of exercise do you enjoy the most? What is it with these exercise questions? What type of exercise? Something that I'm not thinking about, like dancing or just walking or, like I said, yard work. Things that you exert effort, but it's not like you're trying to exercise, if that makes sense. Playing games like cornhole or roller skating, you know, things like that, which by the way, I have a pair of roller skates in our closet that I bought probably 5 or 6 years ago and have yet to put on. And every time I clean out the closet, I think about getting rid of them. And Bill's like, you can't get rid of them. I'm like, well, where am I going to roller skate? I don't know. Okay, have you ever cheated on a test? No, but I remember I was a very good student. Like I did my schoolwork, I did my homework. Christmas vacation, and I want to say I was in 10th grade or 11th grade. We came back from Christmas vacation and we had science homework and I forgot about it. So we are in the class before the bell rings. And this guy who I had a major crush on all through school, although we were only ever friends, he was like, did you do the homework? And the look on my face must have been one of fright and horror because I was not someone who did not do homework. He let me copy his homework. He let me copy it down very quickly. And I was forever grateful. And you know what's funny about him is that when I was in college, so nobody that I went to high school with went to my college. I became friends with this girl in college that lived around the school. I mean, I lived like 45 minutes from it. And she was going to, King's Dominion has an NSA day for the National Security Association employees. And the guy I was dating at the time, he was an employee. So we went to King's Dominion that day and she was going with her boyfriend. And I said, oh, we'll have to meet up at the front or see each other. Well, when I met up with her, her boyfriend's friend was that guy I had a crush on all through school. And I said, is that so-and-so? And she's like, yeah, how do you know him? And I couldn't believe it. He saw me and he came over. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. And it was just so unbelievable because when I told her, like later on when I saw her in class, I was like, I had a crush on that guy for like 7 years. I mean, craziness. And it's funny how life works, isn't it? Okay, what's your go-to comfort food? Pasta or chicken and dumplings? Pasta, I really love. Pizza, pasta. Yeah. Definitely spaghetti. I loved my grandfather's spaghetti. He would make the meatballs so good. So I'm definitely going to say that. I haven't had spaghetti in about 5 months. I've had pizza. We've had pizza here and there, but I have not had a spaghetti dish since December of last year. Okay, are you a morning person or a night owl? I would say now I'm more of a night owl. I stay up pretty late. I used to be a morning person. When Bill and I slept in the same bed, I would go to bed when he did. So I was going to bed at 8, 8:30. And when I got up with him to make his lunch, I would stay up. So I would be up at, 4:15, 4:30. And that's when I did my stitching, got done all my housework, got done whatever I wanted to do. And then, started work at 9, 10 a.m. And at the end of the day, I didn't do any reading or stitching or anything like that because I was tired because I had been up since 4:15, 4:30. Now, though, it's very different because after I make Bill's lunch, I go back to bed till 7:30, 8 o'clock because 9 times out of 10, my jobs aren't starting until 10 a.m., 11 a.m. my time. So, yeah. Okay, do you prefer the beach or the mountains? The mountains, definitely. I will go to the beach, and I have gone to the beach because Bill loves the beach and the water, but I am not a beach person. I don't really like swimming. I burn in the sun, so I don't really care to go in the sun and do all of that. But the mountains, absolutely. Cooler temperatures, quiet cabins. Yes, sign me up. And the last question I will probably answer. There's a whole bunch of questions here, but I'm not going to sit here and answer all of these. You know what, though? I probably could. Why not? Bill's not going to be home for hours yet. Okay. Do you like gardening? Bill and I are trying a garden this year. I don't know how it's going to work out. It was hard work building the boxes and doing all of that. Now it's just we have to keep up with the garden now. Wait for the tomatoes to grow, do the weeding, water it, because we are approaching summer here in the U.S., so it is going to be getting very, very hot. Do I love it? I'm not really an outdoors person. I like indoor activities better. So I can't say that I love it, but it is something for Bill and I to do together. And that was one reason that I said, yes, let's do it. Okay, what is your favorite way to stay active? Again, with the exercise questions. Things like, I used to belong to a bowling league. I loved that. That was once a week. Things like that. Roller skating, walking. Okay. Would you be interested in going to space? I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. I don't think I need to do that. Have you guys ever seen the movie Passengers? I don't know if it's called The Passengers. It stars the girl from Hunger Games. Jennifer. I know you guys are screaming it. I can see her. And I think it's Chris Pratt is the guy in it. Jennifer Lawrence. I'm pretty sure that's her name. I'm not going to give it away, but the movie is so good. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth it. I've seen it twice. Okay, what's your favorite color? For the longest time, it was purple. I mean, my office is lavender. It was purple. I had a purple car at one time. I now like teal a lot. I love teal. I love purple. I love color, period. It's why I like to do my nails in the colors that I do. Why I like to wear colorful makeup. and hang everything in my office that I do for stitching. And the pieces that really speak to me are full of color in diamond painting and stitching. How many people have you kissed? Ooh, now we're getting kind of personal here. Let me sit here and try to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, I think. I was always in long-term relationships most of the time. I didn't date around a lot where I had multiple boyfriends or anything. What was your best subject in school? Math. I've always, well, and you know, I say that, but English, you know, I liked to read the novels that we read. I especially loved my literature class in college because we read things like Wuthering Heights and Dracula and Frankenstein and those kinds of books. And I loved it. I loved reading all of that. But I'm also pretty good with numbers, so I enjoy that too. What's your favorite weather? Fall. Fall weather where the air is crisp and the leaves are colorful and crunching under your feet, and you walk outside and it smells like a campfire, and the weather is like 60, 65. It's enough for a jacket, but you don't need a coat. And it's not snowing and it's not raining. You know what I mean? We don't have too many perfect fall days here in Maryland, but they do happen. So I am always very, very grateful for them when they do happen. What do you miss most about being younger? I would say looking younger, right? Because youth is wasted on the young. But maybe less responsibility. And just not being as stressed about things, about money and about getting older and about my parents getting older and, you know, things like that. Things that are out, you know, somewhat out of my control, obviously. But yeah, definitely just being younger and having, you know, young skin and just being younger. Not having so many aches and pains, maybe. I hope I bought 210 when I bought my thread. I think I did because I can see the white on that. Okay, do you have any hidden talents? Didn't we already talk about that? No, I don't want. I'm gonna say no. I can read pretty fast, and I feel like I have a pretty good talent for matching patterns to fabric for cross stitch, because I've had a bunch of people like email me over the years and say, can you pick me out a fabric for this pattern? Ooh, what's your favorite dessert? That's a good question. The lemon tart at Woodlawn. That is my all-time favorite dessert. I've always wanted to try sticky toffee pudding because it just looks so good. But I don't know if I would be disappointed because when I watched Hell's Kitchen, because Bill and I like that show, I wanted to try beef Wellington so bad. And Bill and I went to this restaurant on New Year's Eve a couple years ago and I got it and I hated it. So it's almost like the expectation in my head was so much better than the actual thing. But believe it or not, I actually really like the Marie Callender pies, like the key lime pie. And I think she has a strawberry cream pie. So good. So good. Again, not eating that stuff right now either. but so, so, so very good. Do you like coffee or tea? If anyone watches this channel, you know I am a coffee drinker. Love coffee. I like iced tea, but it has to be like Lipton, lemon. I don't like homemade tea. I don't like sweet tea. I am much more a coffee drinker, and it has to be hot coffee, not cold coffee. Have you been in any oceans? Yes. I am not sure what ocean, and again, I am not very good at geography. Whatever ocean, well, that's the bay. Ocean City. I've been in that body of water. I don't know. Let's just skip that question. What is your favorite holiday? You know, that's a tough one. I like Halloween decorations and seeing Halloween costumes. I am not a huge fan of sitting outside for hours and giving out Halloween candy. And one year I went to a Halloween dance, which I enjoyed and dressed up. So I liked that. I like Christmas, but again, I like the lead up to it. You know, watching the shows, watching Charlie Brown Christmas and Christmas Vacation, and riding around and seeing the Christmas lights and the tree that I love. I don't enjoy the shopping and all of the stress that goes along with coordinating the day and the day before, you know, getting around to see everyone. So I'm not, and Bill and I are actually getting to the point where we don't buy gifts for one another because we buy stuff all year round. Like for his birthday, I didn't get him anything because he originally wanted a tent, but then he decided he wasn't going to go camping. So he never told me anything else. And he's like, I don't need anything. So I never bought him anything. He bought me stuff for my birthday. I said, you didn't have to do that. He's like, well, you had stuff on your list. He's like, you always want stuff. I want books. If he had a hobby like that, it would be really easy for me to buy him something. So, but Christmas, like, usually we get each other something pretty big. And last year, unfortunately, everything I bought him broke. The saw broke. The garden planters that I bought him were really crappy and we didn't like them. And it's like, it just seems like such a waste of money. And I am of the mindset too that I would rather buy someone an experience, like a gift card to a restaurant, or like I said, a book. I will always buy someone a book. Because a book, why do I love reading so much? Because books, just the possibilities in books. I mean, even reading one sentence in a book can change your life. I like books that make me think, that give me hope, that give me a different idea about something than I would have otherwise had. And every book, every single book has the possibility of that. Every single book has the possibility of changing your life in one way, shape, or form. There was a period of time when I was really reading like one domestic suspense after another that I started to tell Bill about the book as I read it. At night, I would sit with him, and it was almost like a bedtime story. I would sit with him and update him on what I had read in the book that day. And yeah, I mean, just, and the way that books can bring people together, right? A lot of my friends read. A lot of my stitching friends read. I don't know anyone in my personal life that reads, like besides Jill and Becky. But like no one in my family reads but me. I think my stepfather reads some, but not like I do. Who do you confide in the most? Jill. She's the really the one, you know, she's the one. But I will also talk to Terry and Becky and Cindy sometimes. But really, Jill, she's the one that anytime anything happens, I am messaging her, getting her advice because, man, she'll give it to me straight. And I really appreciate that about her. Even if it's not something pleasant, like She will talk me off the ledge. She will give me a perspective that I myself may not have, and I appreciate that immensely about her. What is your dream travel destination? You know, I've always wanted to go to Walt Disney World. You know, I've never been to that Universal Studios. I don't need to go somewhere fancy, although I would love to go to like Paris and see the architecture, or go to Australia and see just the different things. I don't know. Never really had like... Now, the one thing I have wanted to do is take an Alaskan cruise, because I hear the scenery is just amazing and gorgeous and well worth it. What's the most trouble you've ever been in? Trouble? One thing that comes to mind is when I want to say I was in, I don't know how young I was. I want to say first grade or younger. And I think I told this story before. Ooh, I remember another story. Ooh. Okay, I'll tell these two stories. Well, my mom and I were in a drugstore, and I wanted this orange chapstick. She said no. Well, I stole it. And when we get outside, now remember, I'm a kid. So when we get outside, I am putting the chapstick on Danielle. She's like, where did you get that? So she takes me back in the store and she's like, you're going to go up there and you're going to return that and you're going to say you're sorry. And of course, by that time I'm crying because I'm a kid. Yeah. So that time, and then there was a girl, when I was growing up, there was a girl in our neighborhood that nobody liked. And when I think about my behavior now, I'm appalled. Accept people. Don't hate people. And I don't even know why I didn't like this girl, why we didn't like this girl. Well, I had history and she was in the history class behind me and she sat at my desk, I think. And I had written on the desk in pen, I don't know why, I hate and her name. Why did I do that? Why would I do that? And she must have sat down the next class and called the teacher over, because the teacher pulled me out of my next class to say, why did you do this? And I don't think I had an explanation. I think I was very upset and I apologized to the girl and I was mortified. I don't remember why I did that, what possessed me to do that. I've never really been someone who's gotten in major trouble. And those are the only two things that I can really think of. I didn't do anything because my stepfather, not Charlize's dad, my stepfather that I grew up with, would have just, punished us for just the dumbest stuff. So if I really had ever done anything, I would have been dead. I would have been grounded forever. I do remember two stories. One story I've told here on the channel before. We had furniture in the living room that was fancy, like wingback chairs and things like that. And this one chair was always in front of the window, and I like to sit in that chair and read. Well, we weren't allowed to sit in that furniture. Only my stepfather's parents were allowed to sit in the furniture when they came over to visit. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. So I would sit in this chair until I saw my stepfather pull up, and then I would just get up and go to my room. Well, I must have been very engrossed in the book, and the chair was right by the front door, and I didn't see him pull up, and he comes in the front door and sees me sitting in the chair. Now, I was probably 15 at this point, and I had a boyfriend, and he says to me, Okay, well, you're not going out with so-and-so tonight because of sitting in the chair. And it didn't even faze me. Okay, that's all I said. Because you learn to adapt. Someone's honking outside. It's amazing what you learn to adapt to. It didn't even faze me because I knew I was going to be punished for sure. But he took it a step further and said, well, I'm going to stand here while you call him to tell him that you're not going out. And I was someone, like, all of my friends and my boyfriend knew how my stepfather was, so nothing really surprised them, and I never lied about it. Like, when I called him to tell him I couldn't go out, and he says, why? I said, because I was caught sitting in that burgundy chair in front of the window reading a book. I'm punished because I was caught sitting on a piece of furniture reading a book. Are you kidding me right now? Yeah. And then there was another time. So my mom and my stepdad used to bowl. And we were old enough that we stayed home. Well, I used to make French fries in the microwave. I liked them like half raw. I still kind of like them like that. Well, I overcooked them this one time and they burnt and it made the house smell burnt. Well, my brother swore the house was on fire. Even though I told him, no, I burned French fries in the microwave, he didn't believe me and he called. Now, my stepfather is his real father, is his biological father. He called him at the bowling alley. And I knew I was going to be in trouble because my stepfather came home. And yeah, I was grounded for that. I mean, just crazy stuff that I was punished for consistently. Leaving a soda can on an end table. And, you know, if the trash was a little bit full in my bedroom, now mind you, I kept my room perfectly neat as a pin. My brother was the one that kept his like a pigsty and never got in trouble for it. But I got in trouble if my bed wasn't made or my trash can wasn't emptied or anything. I mean, the littlest stuff. And another time, this is another story that I remember. You know, I know there are many more stories that my brain has probably just protected me from because just some of the things that I and my brother experienced were just so horrific when we were growing up. My stepfather flipped over the dinner table one night because my mother wouldn't sit at the table. And we had like this addition on our house that had French doors that separated it from the rest of the house. And so she was going to eat out there. Well, she went to close the door and he like pushed the door on her and she threw a glass of water in his face. And then he flipped over the entire dinner table. So we run outside because we don't know what to do. And, yeah, that happened. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? I don't remember. I mean, just really just crazy stuff when you really, really think about it. Crazy, nutty, cuckoo things. We used to go, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, we would go roller skating every Friday and Saturday night at the skating rink. And, you know, my mom and my stepdad didn't mind because that let them then go out to a bar, right? So they got to go out and enjoy their time. Well, I don't even remember what I quote unquote did to warrant this, but my stepfather was like, well, you know, your brother can go to the skating rink tonight, but you can't. Okay. Well, looks like I'm staying home. So I tell my friend that my best friend lived across the street. Oh, can't go skating. Well, then he came back like, I don't know, a half an hour before we were supposed to go skating. And he's like, oh, you can go. And I said, I'm not going. Because first of all, I wasn't ready. There wasn't enough time for me to get ready because I would take hours to get ready as a kid. And I think just to act like, just to spite him, I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of him knowing that I really wanted to go. So I stayed home. And I mean, it was just all the time occurrences with stuff like that. It's amazing that I never turned to drugs or alcohol or running around and sleeping with all kinds of guys and just rebelling. We didn't do any of that. Nothing. None of that. Okay. All right. Let me get off of that because, yeah. What's your favorite quote? That's a good one. I don't know. The simplest solution is always the right one. I don't know. There are so many quotes that I like. Oh, Galatians 6:9. Basically saying you reap what you sow. Don't be weary of doing good because in due time you will get your harvest. I know I completely butchered that, but in a nutshell, I have that quote on my wall above my vanity. I bought the decal and it's on the wall. Galatians 6:9. What was your favorite childhood toy? Golden Dream Barbie. I do remember that. Loved that toy. But books. As a kid, books. Books were the saving grace. My grandfather would always take me to the library in the summer. At that time, you could get out 30 books, and I got out 30 books every time I went. He would drop us off, give me a quarter for the payphone, because they had a payphone outside. And when I was ready to be picked up, I would call him, because the library was only about 10 minutes from his house. So he would come pick me up, take me home. Yeah, how would you deny your grandchild of going to the library? That's crazy pants. No, you wouldn't. Always encourage reading. Okay. Do you prefer the morning or evening news? I'm going to be honest, I prefer no news because it's fairly depressing. And I don't watch any news at all. All right, well, I'm done filling in that section. How about that? So that's probably a good time to end. There are more questions, but I will just save them for another time. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my answers. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. I will not be back until sometime next week. I don't know when next week because we have a full work schedule next week, but we will see. So as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But before I keep going, I've had so many questions on what highlighters do I use. These are retractable, which I absolutely love. They are Handy Line S highlighter, and I want to say they're by Pentel. I will link them in the description box. It's a pack of 4 on Amazon. Okay, thank you for commenting and subscribing. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.